Perfectionism is avoidance with an ego. Get over it. Stop comparing yourself to people. It's all noise, and get started. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the show. I'm your host, Annie Zomaya, lover of pop culture, entertainment, and 100% human creativity. This is Creative Mode. All right, guys, I am so excited to be back with episode 2 because over the weekend I got a really good deal on a brand new mic, headset, and audio interface. So hopefully the sound quality has improved. If it has, I consider that a 50% improvement week over week. So let's see how long we can keep that trend going. Today, we're going to talk about bad art, creating things that are bad and why that is the new good. And then later on, we'll get into some pop culture news. Vine is making a comeback. If you remember the 6-second video app from like 2013, that era, it is coming back with a ban on AI-generated content. And then we'll also talk about Wicked for Good, which I saw over the week, and the new trailer for Sunrise on the Reaping, which is the latest movie in the Hunger Games series. I've had this one shower thought that's been bothering me that I just want to voice here in case anybody else has ever come across this. So you know the song Wagon Wheel, rock me mama like a wagon wheel, that one. There's a verse in that song that says, he's headed west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. And that has always bothered me because I am from that part of the world. And you do not head west from Cumberland Gap to Johnson City. You have to go east. Unless you're going all the way around the entire circumference of the world, then you could go west to east. But that wouldn't make any sense, and you certainly couldn't do that in a semi-truck. Just wondering if anyone else has ever picked up on that and if it has irked them as much as it irks me. I came across this video on YouTube, and either the thumbnail or the title said, all you need is audacity. And I was like, I wonder what that's about. Whatever I was supposed to be doing, I decided to watch this video instead. It was only 10 or 15 minutes. Never seen this creator before or their channel. The creator's name is Pearly with an I and 3 E's. That's Pearlieee. I will link to the video in the show notes. And anyway, for about 10 or 15 minutes, she just talks about how bad art is good art. If it's bad, it's good. I will explain that. But that line has been stuck in my head for like 2 weeks, and it's really kind of what's kept me going as I pursue this podcast and other things that I'm trying creatively and professionally in my life, and to kind of get past my own fear of failure. Essentially, if there's something that you want to create, whether it is a drawing, whether it's something that you're writing, something that you're creating, producing, or a goal that you have, a goal that you want to meet that you keep putting off and not doing because of fear of judgment or self-criticism or just feeling like you're not ready, you don't know everything that you need to know, and if you do it, it's going to be bad. Any of that. You can apply it to anything. It's all noise. It's all noise. While she's giving this video essay, she's drawing a picture. She just has one of those like giant sketchbooks, and she sits down at her coffee table and gets some markers out and just draws a sun, and it's very low stakes. There's no sketching it out before you draw it or anything. She's literally just like being creative and just drawing like a kid. Like you hand a kid a pad of paper and some markers and, you know, they draw a picture or whatever. It's like that. It was kind of nice to like watch her do this and not be afraid of it being bad and people seeing it. The idea of the video that I took away from it is that sometimes you just have to get started and let it be bad. Like maybe go into it saying, yeah, this is going to be bad, but I'm going to do it anyway so I can get over that fear and get some momentum. And if it's bad, it's good because you can improve upon it. If it doesn't exist, you can't improve upon it and you're never going to get better. And if you keep doing things badly for long enough, eventually you're gonna get good. Like it's just a rule of the universe. Repetition leads to mastery. But I want to dig into this a little bit more. And something else that it got me thinking about is perfectionism, which I like to say is procrastination or avoidance with an ego. Okay, perfectionism is very egocentric. All right, you go into a job interview and you say your biggest weakness is perfectionism, and it's like, it's almost like a godly flaw, right? It's like I just want everything to be so perfect. I always kind of roll my eyes at that cliche question and answer, because it's like, okay, yeah, sure. So you're so good that it's a flaw, whatever. I think if you can recognize and rename perfectionism as avoidance with an ego, it helps you get past it. I know that was a wake up call for me. I didn't make that up. I read that somewhere, or I heard it somewhere, and it stuck with me, and it hurt a little bit because I was like, no, not my dear perfectionism. Perfectionism is avoidance with an ego. Get over it. Stop comparing yourself to people. It's all noise, and get started. Okay. So I'm not just going to tell you that, because I think if you're listening to this podcast, it's because, well, right now I'm just getting started. So it's probably because you know me in real life. Thank you. I appreciate the support. And it's also because you care about creativity, art, and bringing things into the world. And I think if you fall into any of those categories, then you probably struggle with fear of judgment or self-criticism to some degree. I think all of us do, really. I think we all have things that we would like to create and that we would like to see ourselves achieve in life, but we just hold ourselves back for whatever reason, and we give ourselves these really good reasons in our mind. The truth is, we're just wasting time. We just need to get started. We got to take that first step. I'm going to share a couple of things that have worked for me to get past that hump of not wanting to get started. Sometimes it's not fear. Sometimes it's just lack of motivation. Sometimes you just have a lot going on, and doing something creative feels like a really heavy lift when it doesn't need to be, okay? If we allow ourselves to be bad, it takes that pressure off, okay? And you can do it in silence. You can do it and not share it with people. You can just do it for yourself, like calisthenics, if you will. There's a process to creativity. There's a messiness to creativity. I'm going to talk about this a lot. I'm kind of a process nerd. I love learning about how people get from idea to end result, whether it's with movies or painting or writing a book or whatever. I love the whole idea of process, because everyone's is so different. But there's also, I think, a really intimate part in the beginning of any creative process where it's just you and your idea and the page or whatever your medium is, whatever you're working with. It's just you and an idea, and you're just getting started. And that part, nobody else needs to see it. You know, I mean, you can share it. I'm not saying that you should be ashamed to share it or anything like that. I'm just saying there shouldn't be a pressure to share that part, because everyone starts somewhere, and everyone starts with an idea and a blank page. Here are 3 things that have worked for me. Number 1, setting a time limit. Give yourself 10 minutes and no more. For 10 minutes, I'm going to draw on my sketch pad. For 10 minutes, I'm just going to write. For 10 minutes, I'm going to research how to get started on this idea that I have. 10 minutes. That's it. I can find 10 minutes. There's no pressure to have an end product. I think that's the biggest thing. You can get started, and you know it's not going to take a lot of time or a lot of energy. It's just 10 minutes, okay? That's not enough time to require a lot of time or energy just by default. So set yourself a time limit. That way you have a container. It's not as scary. You have a container. It just gives you a starting place. That may sound really, really small. It's still going to help you to build that muscle, okay? Your imagination is a muscle. It will get weak if you don't use it, but it can also get stronger when you do use it. Number 2, stream of consciousness. Now, this is something that is particularly good if you are a writer, and maybe if you are an artist, like a visual artist too. It's something that I learned from The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And I have done a lot of writing, especially when I was in college. I loved to write all the time. So stream of consciousness writing is basically you set either a time limit or a word count or a page limit. For example, I had 3 pages. That was what was recommended in The Artist's Way. So I would get up and I would just write without stopping, whatever comes to mind, just writing what you're thinking. Stream of consciousness writing for 3 full pages. And when I get to the end of page 3, I stop. And I did not go back and read it. I absolutely did not share it with anyone. And I just did that day after day. And I tried to make it the very first thing I did in the morning That way my mind was fresh and I hadn't consumed anything that could influence what I might want to write or anything like that. It was just stream of consciousness. And let me tell you, it can be very boring at first and it can be kind of grueling at first. You're like, oh, this is stupid. Okay, if you're thinking it's stupid, write that. I'm pretty sure I wrote that more than once. Like, this is stupid. I'm ready to be done. I can't wait to get to the end of page 3, whatever. But when you do this, it trains your brain to get past writer's block and to get past self-criticism because there are no rules. There are absolutely no rules of grammar, punctuation, flow, nothing. You just write. So, stream of consciousness, try that one out. You can combine the two. Set yourself a timer for 10 minutes and just write whatever comes to mind or just draw wherever the pen or the pencil leads. And then the third one is drafting. Embrace the drafting process. The idea of embracing the drafting process is something that I picked up from a video by Anna Howard, who is the host of the Wild Geese podcast. In her episode, A Writing Practice to Help You Meet Yourself, I will also link to that YouTube video / episode. And here she really talks about the importance of having a draft process, because I feel like ever since I graduated high school, I have not really embraced the draft process, because throughout school, when you would write a paper or a book report or whatever, you would write your first draft, you'd turn it in, you would get your edits and comments from the teacher, and then because the teacher marked all over your paper and it was handwritten, you had to literally rewrite it for draft 2 and 3 or however many drafts you're going to do. And when you do that, as you're rewriting it, you may be making edits to grammar and flow and punctuation, but you're also rethinking it, right? So then that kind of changes the content. Oh, I think this is a better way of getting that idea across. Or actually, I learned something new that I want to put in there. And then after I left high school, everything was Word document. And I think the invention of the Word document really spoiled me, because there was no need to start all over again and write everything from start to finish, because I could just take that document and go in and make edits on that. And I think that caused me to get really lazy. And I think that's one of those ways that my imagination started to atrophy, because why am I going to rewrite these 5 pages when I can just go in and like change this here and there and still get an A-, whatever. That unfortunately, I think carried over into even writing as a hobby for me. And I would feel this immense pressure to get it right the first time. But I think if you can let go and just let your first draft be a really bad draft, then that, again, takes off that pressure, helps you get past self-criticism, and you know that it's not going to be the end result. You don't have to share it with anyone, and you can improve upon it. Again, a lot of these are going back to writing, because that's one of the mediums I use the most in my life. But I think you can apply this to anything. I think any idea that you have, you can practice with it first, and then you can share it when you're ready to share it. But the idea is get started. Have something to work off of. You can improve upon one. You can multiply one. You can add to one. You can't improve upon nothing. You can't multiply nothing. Once again, the 3 exercises: set a time limit, use stream of consciousness, and embrace the drafting process. So try those 3 things. I was going to talk about mind mapping as well. I actually used a mind map to write the script for this episode, but I think I'm going to save that for another episode, because I can really go into depth there. Before I get off of this subject, the other thing is I do want to address judgment. So this is something else that was in the Pearly video, is judgment is not inherently bad. Judgment can be data. And you can take that data and you can use it to learn and get better and try again. Yeah, there's going to be trolls. All right, I'm not talking about that. But if you have 100 people and 60 of them have the same opinion about something that maybe you could change or improve, that's data that you can use to build off of. So think about judgment differently. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I care what people think. I think anyone that cares about what they do to some extent cares what people think, especially if you're sharing it with people. That's why you're sharing it. But just be very careful about what judgment you listen to and what you give credit to. But it can be used as data. That's why you have to share your craft. That's why you have to share your project. That's why you have to share your dreams with people, so that you can get that data and you can improve upon it and build upon it and create something really, really great. As I was thinking about this, I remembered this movie that I watched as a kid on Disney Channel. It was called Pixel Perfect. It was a DCOM, a Disney Channel original movie. And it came out in, I think, 2003, maybe 2004. It had Raviv Ullman from Phil of the Future, and there were 2 girl main characters. I'm just going to read the description off of IMDb. Samantha's band, the Zetabytes, is meeting with little success, so her friend Roscoe uses his knowledge of technology designed by his father to create a holographic lead singer, Loretta Modern. The band instantly becomes successful, but Samantha begins to feel alienated. Roscoe discovers feelings for Samantha, and Loretta struggles with individuality. And that was written by Andronis on IMDb. I started thinking about this because there's a scene in this movie where Samantha is in a coma or she's in a dream or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And then the hologram, Loretta, meets her there. And in this like dream landscape, Samantha is playing her guitar and Loretta comes up to her and is like, wow, that's really beautiful. And then Samantha's like, Roscoe could program you to play guitar. Loretta's like, that's not the same because you got to learn, you got to make mistakes and see yourself get better. And that's what makes it so beautiful and incredible that you can make this music. So that kind of reminded me of what I talked about on episode 1 about the process and the messiness of making music, specifically talking about the rise of AI quote unquote singers. This movie came out in the early 2000s before AI was a buzzword. There was just a full circle moment as I was thinking about it. And it just reminded me how learning something, being bad at it, and getting better, and then getting really good is kind of the whole point, right? So anyway, that was a cute little movie. If I can find it, maybe I'll watch it again just to like see what it's like in 2025 to watch that movie now that AI and everything is everywhere. It's called Pixel Perfect. It's a DCOM classic. Let's jump into some pop culture news now. Quick note. Pop culture on this podcast is not the same as celebrity culture. I love celebrity news. I love celeb gossip. I do. But here, I really want to talk about big trends and movements in the entertainment space and the cultural significance of them. I feel like pop culture sometimes gets a bad rap for being this thing that's frivolous or gossipy or lowbrow, but I really think pop culture is a really great way to bring people together. You know, it gives people something to connect about. If everyone's watching this show that comes out on Thursday nights, it gives everyone something to talk about on Friday. That's why I love pop culture. It's community building on this really big digital scale. And I think that's why it matters. Vine is making a comeback in 2026. If you remember the looping video app, you could make 6-second videos and they would run on a loop. A lot of memes started on Vine, and I think a lot of YouTubers and influencers got their start on Vine as well. It was kind of iconic back in like 2013, 2014, but it's coming back. It is being funded by Jack Dorsey, formerly the CEO of Twitter. And they're also going to restore about 10,000 videos from the Vine archive, which you can claim. So if you have videos that are part of the Vine archive, you can claim those. And this is my favorite part. There will be no AI allowed. So there will be no Sora. None of these AI generated videos are going to be allowed on the new Vine. So score 1 for human creativity. I love it because those Sora videos, they were really making me angry because I was falling for a couple of them. They were mostly ones that had to do with animals, like people bringing animals onto planes and stuff, and they looked so real, and I got mad when I found out they weren't real. You cannot get the app right now, but you can join a waiting list. So I will link to that if you're interested. Claim your videos, y'all. If you got videos out there, claim those, get those back. So I'm really excited to see what that'll do. I personally am tired of the AI generated content on other apps. So I think it'll be really fun to see a new generation use Vine and make those really, really, really micro short form memes and videos. And yeah, we'll see what it looks like in 2026. Going back to what I was saying earlier about bad being the new good, I saw Wicked for Good this weekend with my friends. I was so excited to see it. I absolutely fell in love with the first Wicked movie that came out last year. I was obsessed. Still am obsessed. I'm still singing the songs everywhere I go. So Wicked for Good came out. I absolutely loved it. No spoilers. I will say the first one was more of a comedy and the second one is more of a tragedy, but they are both, I think it makes a really coherent story together. So watch both of them. Absolutely loved it. There were a couple of twists and surprises in there. So I read the book. I read Wicked, the book, but it was different. It was very different from the film. Even if you've read the book, you need to see the movie. And then speaking of movies, Sunrise on the Reaping just released a trailer, and this is the latest movie in the Hunger Games series. It's another prequel that follows Hamish Abernathy and his games. I believe he was in the second quarter quell, where 2 tributes from each district had to compete in the games. You know what's so funny, you guys? I'm actually looking at it right now. I pre-ordered Sunrise on the Reaping, the book, and I have not read it yet because I feel like I just need to be ready to read it. Is that so funny? Because like, I know there's never a perfect time. It's kind of like going back to perfectionism, but I will definitely read it before the movie comes out. I believe it comes out late 2026. So I've got plenty of time, but I pre-ordered the book because I absolutely love the Hunger Games series, all of them. I haven't read it yet, but I do need to read it. The trailer looks really good. All of the movies have been done really well. So I'm super excited to see it. And I'm super excited that the Hunger Games movies are still being made and that the books are still being written. Suzanne Collins is just an incredible writer and world builder. So I can't wait to see this on the big screen. Finally, I want to share a quote from John M. Chu, who was the director of the Wicked movies. And this was in response to a question about the rise of AI actors and tech in storytelling. And it kind of is a callback to episode 1. But I just want to read this. I believe this came from an interview with Time magazine, and I'll link to that if you want to read the whole thing. Okay, so John M. Chu says, "The incentive now is not creativity and tools to foster innovation. It's about colonizing our minds. They're inside our curiosity. They have examined what you're curious about and picked it apart and are going to drag you over here and here and here." So John M. Chu has similar feelings about the rise of AI in creative spaces, the same as me. What do you guys think? That is all I have for you this week. Thank you guys so much for joining me for episode 2. This one was a little bit different. I talked more about creativity in the front and then saved the pop culture for the end. Still kind of, figuring out what flows best, but let me know your thoughts. You can find me on Instagram at AnnieZomaya. And happy Thanksgiving. I hope wherever you are that you are with people that you love and people that love you, friends, family, pets, books, whatever it may be, and that your belly is full and your heart is full and that you are warm and safe and surrounded with love and light and joy. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you next week.